What's going on, guys? So I'm gonna give you guys an artist reaction video to the most hated art styles of the TikTok art community. Before we get into that, besides the CTA of like, share, subscribe, I want to give you guys a bit of insight of what I recently went through as I'm learning through the process, never ending learning experience with YouTube, right? So I recently deleted videos that pertains to reaction videos to other content creators, mainly because I wanted to just showcase more of my original content. However, by deleting videos, it actually affects your algorithm, right? So then after that, YouTube has put me in a situation where I'm not getting no exposure at all, right? So that's one thing I've learned for those people who want to be content creators. Do not, right? I'm gonna zoom in for this one. Do not delete your videos, okay? Because once you delete your videos, it's a wrap. And it's gonna take a longer time for your content to be considered out there into the algorithm. So segueing into this video that I'm about to react to, I haven't watched the video, by the way, by shout out to Muhammad. I'm not even gonna butcher your last name, but I'm Nigerian. I don't know where he's from, but I'm pretty sure he's from some country in Africa. So brother from another mother, right? But anyway, that's the segue that I'm saying right here, is that if you don't comply towards the algorithm, which is artificial, right, then you're not going to get exposure. There's only a minority of people who get exposure by doing their own IP. But we also got to realize that there is so much content out here, like saturation of it, to the point where in order for you to race up, you have to copy what everybody else is doing. It's no longer racing to the top. It's more like we're racing a copy, right? We got to become artificial. And it's so funny because we keep talking about artificial intelligence, but if you think about it, we are becoming artificial, because a lot of the contents that we see, it becomes redundant and becomes mundane because of the algorithm itself being pushed towards every single viewer. And the stuff that are unique is dunking, underground, where you will be unable to find it unless you manually type in the content creator's name. So that's my opinion towards that, and let's dive into this video.
Art styles in the art community on TikTok and other social media platforms. But while some of these art styles have become loved by massive fans, some art styles have been absolutely hated and frowned upon for seemingly no reason. Starting with the most hated art style of all, the jelly art style.
Art styles that I hate. Number 1.
The popular jelly art style has been around for quite a while. A lot of artists have drawn in various forms of this art style, and while these cute, colorful, juicy looking lips and rather fancy looking,
that art style you see with Colleen, right? Colleen, that's her name. She does a lot of that anime jelly. I guess I didn't even know that was the actual style of it, which is the jelly art style. Then you got other content creators that do the Giga Chad meme art style. So again, it's no longer racing to the top. It's racing towards a style that is approved by the algorithm that will push you out there as far as exposure. Everybody's just trying to get exposure in the end of the day.
eyes with full lashes art style is quite popular in the art community. It has garnered likewise as much hate as its popularity. Jelly art style is cool, but they all look the same. Jelly art style always has same face syndrome. They never look different from each other. Jelly art style is so boring. It's obvious a large number of people are clearly infuriated by this art.
I don't think it's infuriated. I think it's everything is based upon opinion. And I get it. I mean, he's a content creator. He has to exaggerate. He has an audience, right? If you never seen his work, go check out his work, because this guy work, not to, what's it called, glaze the person, but like his work is great. His work is professional, is really good. As far as his anatomy, his lights and shadows, he's really good at drawing like females, males. So shout out to his work. I'm more impressed of seeing his work, but I get it. We live in a day and age where it takes a while. Even I'm struggling sometimes too with putting out my own content that pertains to digital artwork, because it takes me days to make one, right? Whereas something like this, I just hit record, end record, make a video is really quick, right? So I guess he understood that, because we're in a day and age where everything is all about quantity over quality, right? So a lot of these people use Procreate, which is a lot easier with your iPad. You could draw that in a few hours. The stuff that I do, I'm using a pen tool over my sketch. But anyway, what I'm saying is that you see certain content creators, they pump out like 3 to 4 videos a day, right? A day. At that point, in order for you to have high quality content, they will set up a podcast where they're talking for the length of like an hour to 2 hours, and then they chop them all up into pieces. So they put out like 3-4 videos a day, right? So for this guy here, Muhammad, it's like he does commentary, he does news, art news based upon the art community, specifically on TikTok, because that's where the audience is at. That's where the new audience is at, the Gen Zs. But anyway, let's get back into it.
Art style, because of its sudden popularity, and as saying all the artists who draw in this art style all make art that look incredibly similar. The faces always look the same for the most part, and they all have a similar way of rendering the face, which is kinda how art styles work. But most of the hate the jelly art style receives was heightened after a popular artist who also draws in the jelly art style on TikTok called out another younger artist for supposedly stealing their art and tracing it. People began attacking the artist, but they then posted a process video showing that they made the entire drawing themselves and only used the other artist's work as a reference. The whole situation caused a huge back and forth with people calling each other names and whatnot, which just left a sour taste about the art style in everyone's mouth, especially on TikTok.
I have to get him to New York so we can testify.
I don't think so.
Get away, ad. I can't even skip it. Hey, he's getting money out of it, so that's cool. Turn his unpopular opinion, but I hate the jelly art style, blah, 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 blah.
And is the beginner art style, or
I mean, I would say don't hate the player, hate the game. It's the algorithm. The algorithm sees that people are into that style. Therefore, let me make sure that hopefully, oh, wow. My bad for having overlapping with my background music. But you pretty much still heard it. But anyway, so like I said, don't hate the player, hate the game. In the end of the day, it's really the algorithm. People are interested in seeing it. They're liking the video. They're liking all these TikTok videos. Therefore, the algorithm sees it as this should be recommended by other people in the vast majority. So when something is popular, other artists will see that, and they're going to strategize by becoming artificial, right? That's the artificial intelligence. They're seeing what everybody else is doing. So artificially, instead of making your own, because you know ain't gonna be pushed out there in the algorithm, you become the algorithm and literally copy what they're doing verbatim. Literally have the whole template of what that artist done and just doing the same thing. There's a fine line between doing that and having your own pride, right? Because if you're doing that, now it becomes a business rather than your creativity. I'm just following what they're doing so I can make money. And a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, that's the whole point of artists. Like, get out of being a starving artist. But there needs to be a balance, because if you're continuing down that path, then what identity do you have? What style do you generally have? You have none, right? At least with someone doing their own content and their own style, at least they're proud of it. Even if they get 100 views, they'd rather be in a situation like that than getting 1 million views off of somebody else's back, somebody else's creativity. So that's up to you. Let me know what you guys prefer in the comment section below.
or lack thereof. I don't know why beginner artists get so much hate just because of the way they draw. I mean, I never thought I'll have to explain the concept of being a beginner at something you're not really good at in a YouTube video, but here we are now. This beginner artist on TikTok was bullied so much because of the way they drew, to the point where they had to leave the platform entirely just to preserve what was left of their sanity. Comments like rendering process and ugly art style were among thousands of comments the artist had to read every single day after they posted a video of them drawing one of their original characters. According to the art scholars and drawing professors on TikTok, the art style was ugly because of the way the artist drew the eyes far apart from the other features of the face, and claimed it was
I mean, when I'm looking at it, it looks intentional. It don't look like it's a mistake. Just like caricatures, it looks intentional. I mean, at least they're getting traction. I don't know. I mean, in the end of the day, maybe because I'm older, that I don't look at the internet like it's a part of my life. So if I get a lot of hate comments, I don't care, because that's not the real world. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the internet. People are behind avatars, so they're able to say a bunch of things without any penalties. So that's what you get out of making content online and having online comments.
unrealistic. They even compared it by drawing the literal skull of the character beside the regular skull of a normal human being, showing that the proportions were far off, and claiming the art style was dumb, even when it was clear to everyone that it was only stylized. Another art style included in the beginner artist starter pack, and is also commonly used by seasoned artists as well, is chicken scratching or scribbling, which has also received a highly remarkable amount of hate as well, for no reason at all. According to the artist on TikTok, chicken scratching or scribbling your drawing before finalizing on a stroke and cleaning it up makes the drawing look ugly and amateurish. So beginner artists and everyone else who draws in that art style should completely avoid it. No questions asked. Personally, I don't have a problem with chicken scratching.
I mean, damn, look at that. That's really cool. Everybody there's multiple ways to skin a cat. Who cares about the process? As long as the end product looks good, then it doesn't matter. Even I would criticize, and I've criticized artwork where they start off, instead of drawing like this, you're getting a structure down with a gesture, light drawing, and then working your way towards detail. Some people just draw the eyebrows and the eyes right away. And I used to do that back in middle school. I didn't just draw the circle, the vertical axis, the horizontal axis. I didn't do any of that. I literally just started with drawing eyes, drawing a nose, drawing a mouth, and then just draw the head and details right away. So, but as long as the artwork comes out good and you're comfortable with that methodology, then who cares? A lot of times we get so indoctrinated by, like, if this is the way of doing it, this is the gold standard, and everybody should follow this principle. If you don't, then you're not a professional artist. It's like, that's a lot of arrogance to say that. Like, if someone knows how to do things in an unorthodox way, who cares? Like, in the end of the day, if they're getting paid off of it, a lot of their fans are happy with the end product, then that speaks volumes.
Scratching or scribbling when you draw. There's nothing wrong with having a few extra lines in your drawing, and to me, I actually find it kind of appealing. I have drawn with both clean lines and sketchy lines, and to be honest, I feel the sketchy lines give the drawing so much more character and confidence, much more than clean looking line art. The next art style that gets absolutely hated, especially on TikTok, is none other than Cooleen's art style. Please tell me why everyone is hating on our smexy mommy's art style.
That right there is the face of someone.
I thought what I saw before was Cooleen's art style with the jelly. But I mean, it's not like it's her art style. I've seen that style done many times. She wasn't the innovator, but since she's popular, I guess now that becomes her title, or people are proclaiming it to be her title. I don't know.
One who has faced multiple sexual assault charges.
Pauline, who was once and still probably is the most loved and cherished smexy mommy of the art community, has found herself in multiple controversies throughout her career as an artist and art YouTuber, which has caused the foundations of her reputation staggering across her social media platforms, while she frantically holds the pillars together with every new video she uploads on her YouTube channel. Pauline and her art style is receiving the hate wave because the community of seasoned haters claim all her drawings look the same and suffers from same face syndrome, which according to them is why her art style looks so boring. Pauline has TikTok videos dedicated to hating on her.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of anime style is same faces, right? I mean, if you think about it, I mean, yes, there are different artists that have their own type of style within the anime, conglomerate, but in the end of the day, they still have a certain look. So I mean, because I do graphic design as well. I don't just do illustrations. Well, I've been drawing for a long time, but then as I developed my career into the art field, I went into graphic design because that pays the bills, right? 9 to 5 stuff. But anyway, with that being said, when you do things in the realm of graphic design, it's all about brand identity. So you want to have consistency in your style. Even I have a style, where you can just tell by looking at it like, oh yeah, he made that. Even though the characters don't look exactly the same, it still has similarities. You actually want that as an artist. You don't want to have artwork where they all look completely different, because then it's kind of hard to identify you. You want to have something where it has similarities across the board. So I don't look at it like it's a bad thing. I think in the end of the day, when people get bigger, as their popularity grows, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Eventually, you're gonna have people who are just gonna have this sense of jealousy, and they're gonna just try to find ways to belittle you because they're not in a position that you're in, right? Just like if someone is a multimillionaire or a billionaire, we assume that they're evil people because we've seen so many movies that, people who are rich are evil and powerful and evil. So it's the same thing like when it comes down to a popular content creator. It's like any little thing you do is like, oh my God, the way they breathe was off. That turned me off. How dare they breathe so incorrectly, or the eyebrows are completely off. It's like, but you're working a 9 to 5 and they're living a career that you wish you had, right? So instead of getting angry at where they're at, if you don't like their content, don't watch it. Simple as that. But a lot of these people are stans, like Eminem stans, as in like they start off as being humongous fans of this content creator, and sometimes it happens where the content creator didn't read their super chat, or they wanted acknowledgement over what they said to them in a glorious way, like, oh, your artwork is amazing. Content creator didn't respond. Oh, I hate this person. How dare, like, it's a weird world that we live in. But let's continue.
Her art because it looks like AI apparently, while some others say her drawings look dull because of the colors she uses in her work, and some even claim Coolin is a robot in disguise, which I am rather inclined to agree with. While there are an ungodly amount of videos on TikTok all dedicated to hating on Coolin and her art style, a bunch of people decided to take it a step further, shifting into the next gear, if you will, by roasting Coolin's art because apparently she roasts.
Colleen herself doesn't even know how to draw that well. She doesn't even have the rights to just take other people's arts and roast it for no reason. Her tutorials are crap. What do you guys think in the comment section below? I have no comment.
Said their own drawings and drawings of other people in her fan base.
Doing this because she roasted every small detail in every art she saw. Bro, why do these? Bro thinks she's the best. Be effing for real. Okay.
which ideally shouldn't really be a problem because for the most part, the people who get their art roasted usually give their consent and usually enter into these roasting videos under the hashtag #CoolingRoastMe or something like that, which clearly means they knew what they were getting into before it even started.
Yeah, I mean, that's publicity. When you look at it from a business marketing perspective, it's like you want to get roasted because she's literally one of the top content creators. So that gives you exposure by her roasting you. So maybe I should do that. Hey, when you look at it from that perspective, it's a win-win.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Cooling's art style. Yeah, she may need some variety in the faces she draws, but every other artist needs some variety in the faces we all draw as well. It's a decent art style that doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think she can take it further if she wanted to add more details, play around with the lighting and make it colorful, or she could simply just leave it as cell shading if she wanted.
Wanna learn how to draw a ooh la la girl? Alright, let's start with a quick sketch. Ooh, got mommy.
A new year and a new adventure.
A new year, a new adventure for your Chevrolet. Let's drive your Chevrolet.
Colors. Alright. Juicy lips.
I don't like the voice. I'm gonna mute it. It's just very cringy. I'm gonna always, every video when I do reactions, I always put the original in the comment section. Well, in the description. So you can watch that because that then is hurting my ears. I'm waiting for it to be done. All right, so this person literally, okay. All right, so that was his
so much
version of
hate
cooling.
is hyperrealism and any form of realism at all. Now this art style I truly don't enjoy. I don't hate it or people who draw in this art style, but I just don't enjoy it at all. I'm sure it must take a shit ton of patience to be able to draw every single strand of hair on a baboon's butt, but personally
A baboon's butt. I don't know what's with, again, this is, we live in sensationalism, right? Sensational. Where things have to be exaggerated. So you got to say hate, WTF. You got to say all these things because the algorithm is going to put it out there for other people so they can discover this type of content. But people need to watch out with words. I mean, this is online, which is exaggerated, but in real life, you got other things to do. Like hate. What is there to hate about hyper realism? If that's their cup of tea, that's their cup of tea. I don't have any comments towards it. I mean, I can't draw hyper realistic. I could draw realistic, but this here is taking it to another level. Like, look at all the pores in the Rock's face. Like, that's crazy. Or is this Nicolas Cage or the Rock? I don't know. But that is crazy. Like, I don't have time for that. I actually prefer stylized. I like to stylize my stuff, like stuff like this. I like to stylize and have it more of a vector graphic comic book style than for it to look, hyper realistic. That would drive me nuts with the details, honestly. But let's get back into it.
I don't find that fascinating at all. I'm much more interested in simplified and anime-looking art styles for the most part. A lot of people on TikTok found the realism art style to be boring and uninspiring because the artists are capturing whatever is in front of them realistically instead of transforming their imaginations into drawings, which makes them refer to hyperrealism and other forms of realistic drawings as bland and tasteless. An artist who supposedly
it's not bland and tasteless, in my opinion. I think it's because it's a lot of focusing. I don't look at hyperrealism as it is artwork, but is it creative? No, I look at it more like it's a study. It's to study in a very, just like they said, hyperrealism, in a very micro, like every little minute detail. It's an observational study of what you're seeing. So it's a master class of like still life, but you're just looking at a portrait. I look at it like that as opposed to I am a creative artist. It's more like I am an artist that is really a master at studying what they're seeing.
Draws in this art style left a comment asking why people hated the art style, and the entire comments were filled with people arguing and going back and forth.
Okay, so that doesn't mean you have to dislike realism. TF, you know what that means. I suck at English, but I don't quite understand what you mean. I don't hate realism, nor do I dislike it. I don't have opinion on it. Okay, then it said, to me, it isn't a visually appealing as other art styles, but I think it's cool. I think what they mean is, since it's socially accepted to draw realism, so much some people want to go against what others think is socially acceptable. All right, couldn't read that bottom part because of the subtitles.
Forth with each other, explaining why realism sucks and how it isn't
There we go,
visually
acceptable.
appealing as other art styles
good at
because
seeing
it's
that.
apparently socially acceptable by the society. While the mass majority of people unanimously despise realism, others still enjoy it because to them it's an achievement not everyone will be able to accomplish, because it takes a whole lot of years to perfect and an absurd amount of patience and discipline to be able to just sit in one place.
The only side effect of realism is, again, you will start to lack creativity as far as ingenuity. What does ingenuity mean? It means that when you're in a situation where you may not have the reference in front of you, where you want to creatively combine this character into this world with machinery and all this type of stuff, you may not have all the references. Therefore, you're going to feel like a fish out of water, like Superman and his kryptonite. So for anybody who wants to, like, who are interested in getting into art, yes, learn realism. Don't get to this point, in my opinion. Unless, hey, if you're making money out of it, okay. But it's gonna stagnate you as far as creativity, because then you're just gonna rely solely on reference, and you don't want to solely rely on reference.
Rendering all the tiny details in a single drawing. Cool art style, but just not for me. A bonus art style which gets so much hate as well is the corporate art style, which is also referred to as corporate Memphis. This is the art style you'll always see on Facebook and every.
Oh, that's like you actually see a lot of them on Adobe stock. If you go to like Adobe stock or a lot of these, like, these are believe, because you can make these out of vector graphics. It's actually more impressive if you do this traditional, in my opinion. In fact, I'm way more impressed if people could do this traditional over digital.
Other tech company for some reason. They all seem to love this art style because of its simple geometric shapes and how easy it is to use with motion graphics and illustrations. But this art style gets a ton of flack in the art community. Mostly people hate it because they feel it's a total sum of all the corporations which have been controversial in recent years and considered as evil, and apparently the art style is also seen as boring and soulless due to all the reasons previously stated. Now, I don't find that
What is evil about it? TikTokers, they're young Gen Zers who their exaggeration is their form of language. Let's just put it that way. So, but when people exaggerate in a form of language, then there's no value into it. There's no weight, because you say things so strongly all the time, the value diminishes of the meaning behind the words.
this art style charming at all, and I don't think I'll ever see myself drawing in this way. But of course I understand people who have to draw like this for work, because if every corporation is frantically trying to use it on their platform, then that means it's working, right? But personally, it's just a big fat no for me. I'll probably just vomit if I was forced to draw in this art style.
Here's an actually unpopular opinion. The big tech corporate art style, also known as corporate Memphis, everybody hates it, except for me. Would I hang it up in my house? Absolutely not. Never. Okay? But am I okay with Google and Facebook using it? Yes. It's easy to look at. It's very easy to recolor it so that it kind of like matches a color scheme. It's very versatile. Is it boring and does it lack personality? Sure it does. But so do corporations. So I don't really get why so many people are complaining that like the characters are disproportionate because they're cartoons.
Anime is disproportionate. Comic book, when it comes down to it, the art style of like Batman animated series, Superman animated series, like they're disproportionate. Like the things that are disproportionate is what we gravitate towards because it's a stylized version compared to our reality, right? And it's interesting because the realism is considered boring, right? And then this corporate is considered hated. So I don't really understand if this is genuine that you hate something, or is it for clickbait because of the algorithm? Let me know down below.
Are cartoons ever proportionate? It's just whimsical. Give it a rest.
Now that we've talked about some art styles that have been hated, let's move on to some art styles people love in the art community. But if you know any other art style that gets so much hate or people consider as controversial, you could leave them in the comments. Now, on to the most loved art styles in the art community. Art styles that bring you peace and joy. Art styles that are synonymous with words like beauty and comfort and remarkable. And I'll go first with 3 of my personal favorites. TB Choi, Likelihood art.
The likelihood art. I mean, it's cool, but I don't understand. Like, I think a lot of times people need to figure out a story behind what they're creating. I like the gesture. You can see the gesture. I love the angles of what's going on, but I feel like there's no soul into it. Maybe because there's so much AI that, let me just give me 1 second. So yeah, like, it's cool, but it just lacks substance. Like, what is this? Like, maybe create a lifestyle image. Like, what is the story or meaning behind it? It's a good render. Like the angle, but I don't get it. I just don't get it. That's just my opinion.
And Won Bin Lee. These artists are just beautiful. Their drawings are magnificent.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times drawings could look good, but what makes more of an impact is why, right? That people forget why. What is the reason? I guess I'm one of those people where it's like, if something is created, what is the reason? What's the meaning behind it? But putting that aside, yes, the artwork looks amazing. You know, it looks really good. So just want to put that out there. Kind of reminds me of not really like Arcane and then like Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse, like that type of like self-shading type of rendering. So this looks like it's probably done on Procreate, probably. I'm not sure.
And I can't seem to express how much joy I get every time I look at any of their work. I personally enjoy each of their art for different reasons, but I really love how dynamic and expressive TB Choi's drawings are. You can always feel the action in whatever.
That's really cool. That right there is really cool. I like the gestures, and I like the self-shading. I like the simplicity of it, and I like how, because of the simplicity of the color rendering, you're able to see the line work. And I think a lot of times when it comes down, like even the professionals with the comic book art style, is that you will have 3 different artists. You have the drawer, the inker, the colorist, right? I always like the drawer, and the inker, like the black and white. When the color is added, the line work gets washed out. And that's one of my biggest issues when it comes down to that. While right here, you know, amazing gesture is really hard to draw from top to bottom. The proportions are great. And because it's so simple, you appreciate seeing the line work that is in each of these character designs.
Pose the character is taking. I think a good way to explain how her drawings feel is alive. The poses look like poses you will see real people making in day-to-day activities. They don't just feel like drawings, they feel relaxed, casual, but still full of so much energy and expressiveness. I just can't explain how her drawings make me feel in words. You just have to go take a look at her drawings and see for yourself what I'm talking about. The Mo art style. Now, I never really knew what this art style was called, but apparently everyone seems to love it for some reason. It basically is the cute anime art style with really big eyes and bright, vibrant colors. Apparently, it's synonymous with early 2000s anime, and everyone seems to like it. It's basically another form of cell shading with super vibrant, saturated colors, and there's also a fairly good amount of detail on the hair.
We all get a case of the Monday sometime.
If you want to get yourself a Coors Light, quench your thirst. Make sure you drink responsibly. From now on, I'm going to be doing that. Whenever there's an ad, I'm just going to do my weird announcer's voice. Let me mute that. Got some music up in there. I'm never was a big fan of this type of anime art style. That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean it's bad. Just not my cup of tea. Let me just fast forward.
There are still a number of people who make fun of the art
That style, man. It's it's creepy, but it's definitely something I have not really seen. To each his own.
style because of how the eyes look. They say the size of the eyes and the rather ridiculous space between them makes the art style look silly and disproportionate. Some other people say the large eyes and small mouth make the art style look scary for some reason, but it could also be possible they're only exaggerating for the most part. The Russian art style. The Russian art style, which
Russian art. That's Russian art style. There's a lot of stuff. I'm learning all of this right now on the fly. Russian art style. Interesting.
which is coined by how a few Russian artists on TikTok draw and paint their characters, is also one of the few styles people seem to like in the art community. Artists like Pian Yasha, Viv404 are always in the forefront of the line every time Russian art style is searched for on TikTok. And while some of these
I thought Russian art style will have is like it just looks like it's inspired by anime. Maybe it's because of that one scene, but man, okay.
artists may possibly not even be Russian, they have automatically created an entire movement with just how they draw. This art style is literally the opposite of the Mo art style. It doesn't have super saturated colors, the drawings are mostly moody and dark, and the characters all seem to be brooding for some reason. This is a rather interesting art style. I think people who want to try and draw and paint like this will probably need to understand how to paint moody lighting with a muted color palette, but there's nothing wrong with trying it out and finding something you like in the process. The anime painterly art style. The anime painterly art style with a little
But that's just the anime painterly art style. It's like what Colleen, that's like literally her style. So it's not even a Colleen style. It is anime painted art style. Even the guy Sam does art. It's the same thing as anime painted art style.
dash of semi-realism is an interesting art style people seem to enjoy in the art community as well, myself included. While some artists take this art style and go crazy,
Yeah, but it's so K-pop-ish. It's like everything is just, it's not my cup of tea. Hey, that's just not my cup of tea. It's just like Bad Boy or skinny, lanky dude with a chiseled jawline, just looking all emotional, moody, or monochromatic face. Barely any face expression. Then he has a cigar in his mouth, or a cigarette in his mouth, that's crinkled up on the end because he's cool, broody. He only says a few words like Neo and Matrix, People just like him because less is more.
with it, adding as many details as possible to their paintings and then rendering them out. Some others keep the anatomy stylized but still use realistic lighting when painting the characters. Other artists use a desaturated color palette in their work, while some have very vibrant and bold.
And you realize they all got that hunter eyes. The eyes gotta be like it gotta be like this. Like hunter eyes. Hunter eyes. They're so squinted, but it's not squinted because that's how they normally look. I'm forcing it, but they're always like that, like a wolf. Hunter eyes. Ay.
Colors. There's multiple ways of using this art style, and every artist that draws in this art style all have their own way of approaching painting like this. I think it's a very good art style, a lot of people love it, and you'll find a ton of fan arts drawn
Because people love K-pop. That's why.
and painted in this art style as
K-pop
well.
and
Definitely
anime.
a 10 over 10 art style I highly recommend. But out of all the art styles on the internet, the art style that caught people's attention and made everyone stop in their tracks, giving other artists a run for their money, is the
What money? A lot of us are starving artists. What money? Hyperpigmentation art style. So let's see this.
pigmentation art style.
Posed for like 10 minutes. Let me see the product.
Girl cries after her dad laughs at her drawing.
Is that me? No, nice. Oh, I've never looked better. Ooh, where were you? Where were you when it was time for senior photo?
Now, while some people started making fun of the little girl's drawing and giving it the name hyperpigmentation art style just because of how the girl
You gotta start somewhere, and it's a little girl, all right? Like, a little girl, who cares? Little girl. Like, I'll show you guys something real quick. You want to see like old art that I've made when I was in high school that I was learning how to draw from the computer. I was using Microsoft Paint. I was drawing with a freaking mouse. Show you what I'm talking about. Like, check this out. All right, check this out. Look at this. Look at this. You gotta start somewhere. All right, you gotta start somewhere. So it's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
drew her mom, everyone else thought it was cool and encouraged the girl to keep it up. Other artists started making their own versions of the girl's drawing and her
Hey, that like some unique, like that's pretty cool actually. Taking a caricature, yeah. Take that drawing and make it stylized, hyper realistic. I don't know if she'll feel better after that, or maybe she'll feel worse. Like, dang, I can't even do that. You took my crappy drawing into something that looks appealing.
Her drawing immediately became popular, not just because of what it looked like, but because everyone understood she's just a sweet little kid and was in support of her art. All the comments on the video were all in support of the girl's drawing, with some people even going as far as comparing her to Picasso, saying she could grow up to become...
Okay, let's not go that far. She's a kid. A lot of kids, they always start with their creativity and drawing, and 90% of the time, they just let it go. It's just a phase as a kid, just like playing with toys. Certain kids, they draw, and then as they get into their teenager years or get into the beginning phase when they're 13, they just throw that away. They like, that's not my interest anymore. Now I'm more interested in TikTok, right? Making TikTok videos and doing the dancing, lip syncing to TikTok videos and all that stuff, you know, and social media. So like looking like Picasso, I ain't gonna go further than that.
Become an incredible artist in time if she continues to make art.
I don't need this music.
And kittens, it has finally happened. The community came together to support an artist instead of laughing at them and bullying them. I'm truly proud of...
Well, that's the only time when people would do that, because it's a kid. Like, of course, they're not going to bully a kid. But if it was a grown adult, that would have been a different story. Remember, kids are still, their brains are still developing. They're more sensitive to the world. Therefore, by nature, people will cater and coddle kids. That's just how it is. Even certain women who are attractive. When a woman is attractive and her drawings don't look that good, people are not going to really clown her. They're just going to say the encouragement like, you're so beautiful and your drawings will be beautiful in the future. Please, I want to marry you. You're so gorgeous. Like, you know, it's weird stuff like that, you know. That's just how the world is, people. That's how the world is. So that's pretty much it for the video. I'm going to put back the background music. It's right here. Unless, as always, well, I used to do this before I deleted the old videos. Read the comments. I'm gonna read some of these right now. Okay. I find the very concept of hating an artist, an art style confusing. I mean, there's a lot of art styles I don't particularly like, but as far as my emotional attachment goes, it's more like, meh, not my cup of tea. Getting outraged or put in passion and effort in hating seems like so much wasted potential, time, nerves, and quality of life. I agree. My main reason for disliking the jelly art style is that there is no expressing. They have the same exact face, not smiling or excited, always quite miserable or upset looking. The art is always so gorgeous. I just think if people made more dynamic expressions or even change up the proportions, it would be a very loved art style. And I'll read one last one. They hate realism and say it's not creative, but the moment your art looks any different from their precious anime / manga Cartoon Network art style, you receive straight up death threats because it isn't realistic enough. Every time I think I don't like some piece of art, I think, well, at least it isn't AI. Take notes on why I don't like it to avoid it in my own art and leave. Okay. Honestly, I don't give a F for any art styles as long as you enjoy it. All right. That's enough of that. That's enough of the comment section. So, speaking of the comment section, what do you guys think down below? Me personally, to each his own. Like the first comment. It's a cup of tea. Whatever you like, you like. If you don't like, you don't like. The beauty is that there's so many different variations in this world. I'd rather have that than everybody just stick to one style. I just hope that the algorithm will push different styles other than the ones that we've seen, so that way there's more diversity, there's more variety. Otherwise, if they keep pushing on one way more than the other, like I said in the beginning of the video, then we start to become AI. Is it that way or the no algorithm highway? All right. So that's that. I shared my opinion. So stay tuned. I am going to still do the creations of, Marvel Rivals, which is like my own OCD, which is original character design of Marvel Rivals. All right. That's going to take me some time. But in the meantime, because of the algorithm and how YouTube works, I got to still be pumping out content. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for my reaction videos that I give you guys. All right. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.